The following is a presentation of Team Bonding, providing more than 100 live, virtual, or hybrid corporate team building activities for companies around the world. Visit teambonding.com to schedule your event now.
Hello, team. Once again, it's me, Rich Renensland, and I'm welcoming you to Team Building Around the World, the podcast where I speak to people from the team bonding, team building industry from all across the globe. Today, we are going to far-off Pakistan to speak to the co-founder of Art of Travel, Mr. Faraz Waheed. But first, of course, let me actually take a second to send some love out to my supporters. This show is supported by the Catalyst Team Building Network. Find out more about the world's largest network of team building providers at catalystglobal.com. We also want to thank our friends at B1G1, which can make your business a real force for good. Please visit b1g1.com to get started. And now, back in 2018, the Art of the Travel was founded, and they designed novel, transformative, activity-rich, and culturally immersive global travel experiences for everyone, everywhere. Join me in welcoming the co-founder of Art of Travel, Mr. Faraz Waheed, ladies and gentlemen. Faraz, that's just a small collection of people.
Wonderful introduction.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's just a small collection of people I've hidden under my desk, so don't worry about them. Please, let's start off right. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Faraz.
Okay, so I'm Faraz. Right now, I'm sitting in Karachi. That's one of the largest metropolitan city of Pakistan. It's right down south. So we have beaches, we have ports, and it's one of the busiest metropolitan city, the busiest mega city of Pakistan. So there's like everybody from all over Pakistan you will find in this one city, from all languages, from all ethnicity. So this is where I am, and I'm actually a psychology graduate. So I've always been working. So I started working when I was 16 years old. One of my first venture was actually a software house. And then after trying different businesses and, failing and learning, So, and then I decided that I felt like psychology is something that I feel can have like a transformational effect on the different lives of people. So I studied psychology and then started working in consulting firm, which was actually, they used to design training for the corporates. Somewhere down the road, I decided now it's time to open our own startup. So it's Art of Travel. And the idea was that we wanted to focus more on activities and less of sightseeing, because we felt that when we create an experience for people that they have never done before, and it's new to them, it changes them in a way that that's very transforming. And, that's why we love what we do.
If you don't mind, you're a psychology graduate. That seems, especially for folks here in the States, most of my listeners, that would seem to be a bit outside of the realm of team building and team bonding. How did that inspire you to get into this kind of line of work?
The reason I went into psychology is because I felt that, I am better with people, and I wanted to do something for other people. Maybe helping them, overcome some obstacles in their lives.
Okay. And
when I was actually working in the consulting firm, and we were designing these outdoor programs for the people. So the idea was that we used to take people outdoor in the wilderness, and, we used to camp where there were no phone signals. There was nothing. It's like right in the middle of nowhere. And we used to do these training sessions with the people. We used to train them like different soft skills and all that. And what I realized is that when we used to also take them on different adventures. So let's say we used to take them to whitewater rafting and some ice climbing, caving, and all that.
Okay.
And what I realized was that when we design these experiences for these people, they actually overcome their fear by just doing that experience. So, for example, we used to take them on a cliff jump. So right before a cliff jump, they're like very afraid. They don't want to jump. And right after they make that jump, they feel that, they have conquered something, that they have overcome their fear. And then you talk to them about how you can use the same experience in your real life and, make this change permanent. So that's where I got the idea that, instead of like sitting with people one-on-one and helping them out. Why not help different teams? Why not help, more and more people at the same time? And I really felt that this can be actually more effective than, talking to people, because I that's what I felt. I mean,
Action seeming to bring out more in folks than just talking about problems.
Yes. I felt there's more control, and you can do different interventions, and, these things can really change people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the main idea.
So you've co-founded Art of Travel. Can you tell us a little bit about your co-founder?
Yeah. So my co-founder is actually my wife, Hajra.
Lovely.
And she's also a psychologist. We were in the same class. How we met is we love movies, so we're a big fan of Martin Scorsese, and, So we used to talk about movies as well. And then we said that why not get married? We have so much in common. And we had like same goals. We always wanted to do something together that involves traveling and, creating experiences for people. So that's how it started.
Now, when did you join up with Catalyst?
Okay, so we are very new. We are very recent. So
right, 2018, right, is when you guys founded?
It was right at the end of 2018. So Officially we joined. So it was in the beginning of January we were there as a part of this community.
Okay.
And so
I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile, actually, and it says you are in charge of gamification. What does that mean to you?
So it means that, Catalyst have different products.
Yeah.
And so what we do here is whenever we go to these companies, we tell them that we can gamify everything. So one of our recent projects is actually we are designing a whole onboarding system. Like we're gamifying a company's onboarding. So if you look at a typical organization, let's say they hire like new people. So they just hired like 40 people. What they do is they bring them inside a room and tell them that, these are the values, these are the company values. This is what we do. Now, if you actually look at those videos that they record for promotional, so you actually get a feel that, okay, people are actually not as excited, like, just for sitting there for 1 hour, hearing the company's values. So we told them that why not we gamify them? So, we are designing this whole program where they have to find these values, information, and they have to create small improvised videos for the values. Nice. And, tell company stories through games and all that. So, we believe that would actually make it more memorable. And since the people are young, they connect to stories, they connect to games. That's what gamification means,
Fantastic. If we can, let's focus a little bit on Pakistan, because that's fascinating to me as well as to my listeners. What is the industry like there?
Okay, so when you talk about team building, the industry is very young. I mean, it's just starting.
Right.
So we have 3 different divisions, and they're all very blurred. So we have training that are instructor led. Okay. So 6-7 hours training where a trainer comes in, opens up a PowerPoint presentation, and then takes you through the whole content. Then there is motivational speaking, and then there's team building. So companies are just starting to realize that how important team building is, but they don't understand what team building is. So what they do is they name an event that it's a team building event, but what they actually end up doing is they actually call a motivational speaker who speaks for 2 hours, and then, just motivates them, talks to them about their company, and then goes away.
I see.
So right now our struggle is to actually educate these companies, like how team building works, how it's working all around the world. So it's just starting. And and right now problem is that even the trainers, when they do these team building events, they don't actually use kind of rich activities. And when people actually come into those training halls, they already know what's going to happen. So one of the main reason actually for joining Catalyst was that we were actually on a lookout that how can we create these experiences where when people come into the room, they really don't know what's about to happen. Something that is so new that they have never experienced it before. It's just we wanted to blow their mind in the first place.
And how do you do so? Give me an example of something that you actually promote or put in front of folks.
Okay, so we ran like a infinite loop. So that's an amazing business simulation where half of the part of the puzzle is inside the virtual reality set and half is outside.
Right.
And you divide people into team, and they have to help the one who's wearing the VR set solve the problems. And it's an amazing activity. It's about communication. Somebody's inside VR, somebody's outside. You have to communicate verbally, and there are complex problem challenges that they have to solve. So even at Art of Travel, what we really do always is we always tell the HR department, you don't disclose what's about to happen. So let's say if you're taking people for ice climbing, we don't tell them that we are actually going to a glacier and we are doing ice climbing, because the surprise element, it makes event very engaging, because people are curious, people don't know what's going on, and when you present something in front of them, they're like blown away. So in this VR headset, this infinite loop game that we played, what we did, we bought a bunch of participants inside a room, and there was a box, and then we suddenly play the video, and people don't know. We just told them that they have to sit in their teams, and then we play a video where a guy is trapped inside a VR set, and you are the hackers who have to help bring him out. And then people don't know that it's a virtual reality event. And then when they open the boxes and they see a VR headset, they put it on, they're inside a room, and then boom, magic. People just love it. So when this first event happened, it went for duration of the event was supposed to be 1.5 hours, but we ended up going as far as 2.5 hours. And when the event was finished, people had no idea that they were in there for 2.5 hours.
Excellent.
So that's the magic. I mean, if you use surprise element, and then the product itself is good, the facilitation is good, I think,
Great. Well, thanks so much for that, Faraz. If you actually give me just one quick second, I need to pay a little bit of bills over here on our side. So let me take a break for a moment just to tell my team out there about Catalyst Team Building Network, an association of team building providers. With representatives in over 90 countries speaking more than 20 languages, the Catalyst Network is widely regarded as the voice of the team building industry. Network members share resources, best practices, and business opportunities. Catalyst partners are learning from each other and pushing the boundaries of what is possible in team building. Catalyst Network members share a common goal of creating highly relevant, socially responsible, good valued experiences for their clients. For more information, please visit catalystglobal.com. The Catalyst Team Building Network, the world's largest network of team building providers. So for us, getting back into this, so you don't let them tell the client what they're getting into when they've hired you. Give me an example. What does a pitch like that sound like? What do you actually tell them you're going to be doing for them?
So first we tell them, so only 1 or 2 person in the HR, they know, right? That what's going to happen.
Okay.
What we tell them, we explain them this theory that, when you surprise them, when you don't, first of all, if you don't tell them like what's going to happen and you just create like small teasers, it's going to excite people. So we tell them that, and most of the reason why HR people are actually contacting us and doing all these activities, because they want employee engagement. So we tell them that the engagement starts should start from day or 2 before the event, right? And so we tell them that, you don't tell them anything, that you just send them teasers. And we have seen that in our experience, when the surprise element is there, when people don't know what's going to happen, people really enjoy it. They're curious, they learn more. And it will be one of the best experience in their life. But if you tell them everything what's about to happen like a day or 2 before, and they come with certain expectations that, it's technology, I'm not okay with it, I don't know, maybe it's the same stuff and all that. If you take them in that direction, then the experience may not be as powerful as it could be.
It's hard to visualize someone actually going, oh, so I shouldn't tell them anything. Okay, because as a facilitator myself, I've gone into so many events just with everybody already knowing what it is they think we're trying to do. And you're absolutely right. Even here in the States, I was in charge of a lot of escape rooms before, in the old times, before COVID-19 locked us all down. But when I would go into the room, they're like, oh, it's just another escape room. But they still had no concept of what was going to be required to win it. They just thought that they knew what it was. So I see your point, and that's an actually really valid one. But let me talk about, if we can, culturally in Pakistan. What kind of significant challenges do you face there in bringing a team building to a client?
If you look at Pakistan, now, our corporate culture is a little bit serious, okay? So, they always encourage you to wear suits, And it's always how you look and how you're perceived. People are very conscious of what you're thinking of them, right? So that is also one of the reasons why we need team building here more and more in Pakistan, because people actually don't open up to each other, and it's very reserved culture. So when you tell them that people are going to have fun and they are going to learn something,
right?
So they're like skeptical. Okay, fun and learning, they're two different things. For learning is all about it's about classrooms, and it's about talking serious stuff. It's about presenting theories about personality and everything, and it's like a 6-8 hour session. How are you going to do that? And then that's what we tell them. It's so right now our struggle is more about we need to educate them, that make them aware that fun and learning is not two different things. They're the same things. And when you combine fun with learning, that actually makes it more effective. People really learn, people really change. And that's what we see in these team building events that we do. So we see that people 40 people, they came into the same buses after a 2-hour drive,
right? And
they're traveling in the same bus. They're not talking to each other, okay? And though they have been working in the same company for maybe 5-6 years, and then they get off the bus and they're all serious, and they feel that they're on the beach. And when we run these events, when we do these small team building activities, we actually see visually it's right there in front of you that people are communicating to each other. People are making fun of each other, people are doing stupid things, silly things. That's exactly it. And that this is a golden moment, because maybe when they go back to office, they may not experience these moments. And that's why what happens is when you meet these people after a while, they always tell you that wow, that was an amazing experience. After that team building activity and staying the night outside and camping on the beach, we spoke all night, and it was amazing. Wish we could do that again. So it's always, and it's one of the reasons that motivates us, exactly what we do. It's very inspiring for us that even sometimes, because we do these events, lots of events, and they're sometimes there are 40 people, 50 people, 100 people. It's hard to remember faces, it's hard to remember names. So you're just walking randomly in a mall, and somebody would come up to you and say, even though you don't recognize them, he would say, oh, do you remember me? Yeah, so you took us there up in the mountains and you did these activities, amazing fun stuff.
Great. So, yeah, because it is, even here in the States, where we are certainly not so rigid as you suggested for your folks. But we have the biggest fear that I have faced is the people who are just terrified of looking foolish.
Yes.
Especially in front of their coworkers, and especially if they're middle to upper management. They don't want to be seen as weak. How do you overcome that? Can you give me an example of when something like that occurred, where someone had that aha moment of, I don't have to worry about that for you?
Okay, so that happens when the activity that they're doing is so immersive.
Okay.
So immersive that they don't realize that they're doing silly stuff, right? So because, the important thing is, so people do these things. So if you ask somebody to go and do silly things, nobody's going to do it. But if you divide them into teams, okay, you say this is team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4. And then you tell them that you are going to be competing against each other, right? So when that happens, the whole dynamic changes, Okay. So now people are doing things not because they're conscious, but now because they are super competitive, and they start doing these silly things, and then they realize, oh, it's not so bad after all. But initially it started as a competition, then becomes a realization. But, when they do realize it's amazing. Then you actually see them opening up to people. You see them doing more silly stuff, maybe dancing at night and all that. So so that's, I think that's how we overcome it. Always start with teams and then ask the group to come together and do things.
Yeah, it's always amazing to me that for as long as we've been doing this podcast, talking to all over the world, just finding out how competitiveness always seems to be the core of how things begin, no matter where you go.
Yes.
But let's switch gears for a second, if you don't mind, Faraz. What kind of charitable work do you folks have there in Pakistan? And do you have any favorite charities?
Okay, so we don't work directly with charities. However, what we do is, whenever you're taking people on these trips, so So if you look at Pakistan, we are down in the south, okay? And there's this whole northern area at the top.
Okay.
And this is like one of the most beautiful areas in the world. So there's mountains, terrains, and they're like remote areas, and there are remote communities. We have borders with India, and there's Kashmir and all that. So what we do is we actually always involve like local communities, like to set up our camps, to be part of it, like part of the interaction with the corporate. So we always do that. We always hire the people who are locals, who are there. And, we don't take people from like the metropolitan city. We always use the locals, and that has helped us a lot because they take ownership. And, if something goes wrong, they always help us. And it's like a bond that we form, and it's like a good interaction where people from two different cultures, the city culture and the remote area culture, they come together, they respect each other, they understand each other. So that's what we do. Yeah.
And of course, being part of Catalyst, you are now also part of the B1G1 network.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you explain to people how that works?
So how it works is, when we do an event, proceedings from the earnings actually go to these charities and communities. That's how it works. We are still in the process of actually exploring that because we just started. Yeah.
Well, so. let me take a second then, if you don't mind, Faraz, and I'll talk to my folks and you.
Yeah.
Let me tell everyone about B1G1, which can make your business a real force for good. When you're part of B1G1, you bring new purpose, meaning, and relevance to your business by making giving a core of what you do. Unlike conventional giving models, B1G1 helps small and medium-sized businesses achieve more social impact by embedding giving activities in their everyday business operations to create unique giving stories. Every business transaction can impact lives from as little as just 1 cent. So please visit b1g1.com to get started. B1G1, business for good. So, Faraz, as I was saying, we're still in the grips of COVID-19 here.
Yeah.
And even though we have been talking about reopening slowly, there's still signs that show that our wave one still hasn't even ended yet. How are things happening for you folks over there in Pakistan?
Okay, so we said right now there are no lockdowns in Pakistan, right?
Oh, that's
so
great.
So everything. So what they did, they restricted. They made the restriction. There was the complete lockdown for almost 2 months. But they eased everything in last 2 to 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, but the problem is that the cases are on the rise, and the companies are actually faced with these new challenges. Recently, I spoke to one of the guys. So there's this company. Everybody was working from home. So when they eased the restriction, they said that now everybody can come in and they can start working. So everybody just worked there for 1 week before they realized that half of the office has been tested positive. So they closed everything down. So that's what happening. That's what actually happening in Pakistan right now. Some of the companies are opening up, but they have to close down and then they have to open up again. So actually, I think most of the companies are actually right in the middle of actually figuring out how this would actually work.
Okay.
But it's going to be tough. And some companies have decided, they're just going to do like half of employees will come 1 week, half will come some other week. But the problem is that nobody's actually following the social distancing and everything.
What are you doing? I mean, how is Art of Travel handling this?
We were like totally booked for like June, July, August, and September. And we spent this month and last month refunding everything, refunding to all our clients.
Yeah.
So travel is not happening, not this year.
Okay.
So we have calculated everything. We've decided that we're just gonna not do anything in terms of travel because because this is right now as we speak, this is like the peak season. June, July, August.
Okay.
Majority of companies, people actually take these trips. But the best part is that we have Catalyst, and because this community is so amazing, they were very quick to adapt, and they like created these online versions of offline activities, and they are like super amazing. And I'm really glad that we have Catalyst, and I'm really happy and very proud that we are the only one in Pakistan who are actually offering these activities. So that puts us in a very unique position. So right now, all these trainers and the motivational industries, they are scratching their head. Like they're trying to figure out like, how are we going to do it? Because you do podcasts with people all the time. You
Right.
know how difficult it is to hold people's attention
Yep.
if they're not engaged in an activity. And you know, like it's just like in the traditional training, people will not sit and just hear everything you're saying for like 4 hours. And just like you said, your kid was on the YouTube.
Yep.
So, you know, all these things are happening. So they're actually trying to figure out what is going to be the next step. And they're kind of hoping that things would maybe, if things get better, people will actually, trainings will start again. But we don't see that happening. And this is like a competitive edge, and people are really curious what we are doing. And, you know, we get lots of queries, and, you know, we're talking to people. And hopefully once companies have actually figured out how they're going to move forward with the like working from home or not working from home. And then I think that the next step, the next problem is that how you keep people engaged at home, because then because when they're working from home, they're like remotely disconnected, and you don't get to have those fun moments. And that's where Catalyst products come in. They will need it, because that is the best way to engage people, to make sure that friends are still friends, people are talking to each other, there's no communication barrier. And, you know, obviously it's great to have fun, you know, during these depressing times.
Right.
So, yeah.
Have you actually taken part in any of the virtual events that Catalyst is offering?
Yes. So one of the event, it was peak performance.
Okay,
Now,
how does that work?
Imagine this. It is a simulation of a mountain summit.
Okay.
So what you do is you work as a tour operator. You're a tour company, and your job is to take people, you take your clients, take them on the top summit, and then come back. Now, Everest is ever changing. Like the dynamics are changing. So every day weather is changing. You know, there are different problems, there are crevices. So you have to work as a team and divide responsibilities. So one person has to look at the weather, the other person has to figure out the logistics, the third person has to figure out what move to make. And that is I think an amazing metaphor in today's time, that, you know, that we are all going through a very tough situation where the environment is getting tougher and changing every day.
Right.
So that was that's peak performance. So that was the event that I participated, and we ran peak performance with startups. So we have like incubators here who actually fund these startups. We did this activity with like 15 startups. And the activity itself was so powerful, because we took them through the demo, and we showed them the video, and they played the game. And then when it ended, during the debrief, we usually ask, how did it go? We didn't have to like say anything, and they were relating everything that was going inside that game to actually their real life.
That's great.
So the startups were saying, you know, this is so relevant. The environment is changing. You have to make plans. And even if you make plans, they can fail, you know, and they can always fail. You can do all the planning, and you can do all the hard work, but sometimes, you know, you get unlucky. And, you know, so, and also like, you know, sometimes you're right about to submit, and you say that, you know, it's okay now, right? We are right at the end. We should push ourselves. And when you push yourself, the weather changes, and then you all die. So, so yeah. So it was really great watching these startups, connecting these things to real life.
Right.
And, you know, that's where we actually see the value in all of the Catalyst products. The outcomes of the learnings are amazing. People can easily relate it to what they're doing in real life. And I think it's so that's why we really love that.
Speaking of which, I want to, if we can, get more on your personal experience, Faraz. I want to actually ask you some of your personal memories. My grandfather always told me, talking of failure, you're giving yourself a brand new chance to try again. So do you have a memory of an event where you thought that this challenge is just too great to overcome, but then you managed to pull the success out of it?
So there was this event, and it is very recent.
Okay.
So what we do is, with Art of Travel, we take people to these remote places and where there's no cell phone connectivity. If something goes wrong, let's say if you don't, and it's very far from the city, so you have to, if you forget something, if something happens, you have to go back, like drive 3 hours back and, you know, sort the problem out.
Right.
And there's no phone, so you cannot call anyone. So we were at this beach. again, very far from the city. And so the food was supposed to be arriving at 2:00 because we were not cooking it there, and it was supposed to be arriving at 2:00. And we were totally out of contact with everyone that was in the city that was in charge of the food. And the training session was about to end. And, I was actually running one of the activity. I ran the activity, and I was like, where is the food guy? And because it was an event for a very big company, and a new client as well. I was like, I spoke to one of the HR people. I told them that, is it okay if, there is a food delay? And she said, no, not at all. People love food, it's part of the experience. Everything that we told them that, the food is supposed to be awesome and it's always a part of good experience. So she told me that, she just threw it in my face. And she told me like, no, that the food needs to arrive. So I figured out that maybe this guy is lost. He has no idea where the beach is. Okay. So I went back. There was no cell phone. I went back, and they were like different. So I tried to think from his perspective, like where he was coming and everything, try to recall everything. And then it took me some time to find him. He was actually lost, and he was like very confused. He thought somebody would come and rob him. I brought him back with me, and everything went perfect. But when I was driving, it was like I was totally exhausted. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen if the food doesn't show up? Although it's just food, but it was like, those were like, it was terrible.
Thank God you managed to get that turned around.
Yeah.
You'd have a bunch of very hungry people on your hands.
Yeah.
Faraz, thanks so much for coming on board with this. We really appreciate hearing everyone's insights, especially from Pakistan. You're like one of the only people I've talked to so far from the Middle East. So thank you for being with us. I'm actually thanking you so much because I'm about to put you on the hot seat here, and we're gonna be. It's time for us to play a little game that I call my speed round. Now, to explain what that is, just like when we introduce people into a new setting, a new team building event, they're always kind of dreading the idea of what they're going to have to do. So this is kind of payback for them. But the objective is for you to answer the questions I'm about to ask you in 60 seconds. You're going to answer as many questions as you can. The number to beat right now is 13. If you can get 13 or more over, then that means you're part of my winning circle. So just get a little challenge going there for you. But the objective, of course, answer as quickly as you can the first thing that comes into your mind, okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Don't dread it.
These games are, by the way, these games are, like, by the way, hardest. Like, I've been trying to crack them since I was a kid. But, yeah, these are the hardest. Like, they put you right at the spot.
Yep. Just remember, don't think, just answer. That's the best advice I can give you. All right. As soon as we hear the music, I'll start with the questions, and we're good to go. Ready?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Faraz.
How many children do you have?
None.
How many pets do you have?
None.
What's your favorite time of day?
This time, like 3 hours before we sleep.
Okay. What's your favorite nickname for yourself?
It's Faja. It's F-A-J-A, Faja.
Most
people call me that. Yep.
What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It's just like somebody pronouncing your name wrong.
What's your favorite thing about yourself?
I like to read a lot.
Okay.
And I'm a movie buff.
What's your favorite movie?
Taxi Driver.
If you could have someone play you in the story of your life, who would it be?
It would be Jim Carrey, I think. Yeah, definitely Jim Carrey.
What's one pet peeve you have?
It's the same thing. It's Faja.
Fantastic. All right. So you made it to 9, my friend. That's okay. That's still up. You're still in the upper rankings, but you didn't make it to the 13. Faraz, thank you again so much for coming on the show. I can't tell you how much fun it's been talking to you and how interesting it is hearing about your side of the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please, my team out there, one more time, give a big round of applause to Faraz Waheed. Sure, it's canned applause, but we like it anyway.
I'm honored, Rich. I'm honored.
Thank you. And thank you out there for listening to Team Building Around the World. If you like this show, please share it with a friend or a colleague. And we'd be grateful if you would subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your favorite podcasts and leave us that favorable review. If you don't have a favorable review to add, just forget about it. It's fine. Now, all past episodes can be found at teambonding.com. And as always, my friends, I have been Rich Rinnensland. This has been been Team Building Around the World. And always remember, if you are within the sound of my voice, you're now on my team, and I am always on yours. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
It's been said that you learn more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. So why not put your coworkers to play with the help of the team at Team Bonding? Team Bonding was founded over 20 years ago with one simple question. How can employees have a great time while fostering strong, authentic bonds between people who work together? Their catalog of innovative events includes scavenger hunts, Jeopardy, and much more. Each activity, whether live, virtual, or hybrid, maximizes the impact of team building with an accent on fun. Visit teambonding.com to schedule your event now. Team Bonding, when you want seriously fun results.